But how do you like? So okay, well, 1 second. Let's just step back. So can you talk about the ERD? Like, is that like, is there a central kind of Airtable to all the other Airtables?
Yeah. So the Airtable ERD. So this is a really simple ERD. So this is an ERD of my Airtable, and this probably makes a lot of sense to people who are watching the show. If you're listening, I'll describe it to you. But what I did was I took down the different tables in my Airtable. Right. We talked about entities. That's me. Right. Yeah. And I've put them in logical sections. So assets, liabilities, revenue, planning, record keeping, action tables, and reflection tables. These are things every entrepreneur does instantly, right? Mm-hmm. I've got my business, right? My CRM, you'll see that in here, right? My references is a whole separate table.
Yeah.
The way the ERD works for me is you could look at Airtable, but the problem with Airtable is it looks like a bunch of tables, right? So if I'm sitting here looking at all of these tables in Airtable, there's an entities table, values table, timeline, all the things we talked about, that's confusing. But an ERD gives you a top-down view. So if I want to come in and look at all the companies that I'm working with, I could just click on companies. It would take me into that record. If I wanted to see all my current customers, I could click on CRM. So an ERD stands for Entity Relationship Diagram, and it shows you how your life, but if I was an actual database person, I'd be how your database, but I say life because your life is a database, is linked together. And I think a lot of productivity people get into saving time and not creating value. And for me, productivity is different than valuativity. And I like this concept of valuativity because I think, you can do this kind of stuff well. Like once you get your productivity game together, you end up saying, okay, well, now I want my health game to be really good. And once you get your health game together, you go, okay, now I've got my health game on my productivity game. I want to get my values. I want to spend more time with my spouse. And then after you do that, you go to this thing where you say, okay, now I've done all these values. Now I really want to get my kind of, world game together, be nature centered. And after you get that together, you're like, I think I'm going to be a Buddhist, what we call basically the Jack Dorsey stack, right? So what are the domains you kind of go through in real time? And for me, being able to map that in a database so that I can say, today I'm value centered, tomorrow I'm nature centered. I meditated this morning, I was being transcendent centered. I got a bunch of work done that's productivity centered. So from a business standpoint, if you're a business person, again, start simple, just build a CRM. But remember that CRM could be partitioned to do some for your personal life too. And if you're married, I can't tell you how many families struggle with these same concepts. Where is the money going? Where are we spending our time? When is this appointment? My Airtable on a calendar looks amazing because right away we can just say, show me all the things that we did that were centered around our values, right? So I keep talking about these values, right? So for me, as I've mentioned to you before, everything in my Airtable gets filtered through a value, right? So these are my values, right? Health is number one. Right. And we actually as a family defined health. Like, what is health? How do we define it? And that's usually your relationship with your body and your mind. Home is number two. It's your relationship with the people that make you feel safe. It's not a physical place. Home is not a place. It's the people, right? This can be your spouse. This can be your kids. It can be your pets. It can be your business partner, right? Family is the people you would get on a plane for, right? Usually it could be friends. It could be neighbors, but that's not traditional. This is the way I define these values. Work is what you do to create value. Financial values is what you do with the resources that come from the first four, and service is what you do to kind of serve your legacy. So if you see mine right away, you can see I've got tasks, journals, and bills. So my entire life, those are kind of the three things I measure. What am I doing? Tasks. How are things being done to me? Journals. And then what's being generated from that? Bills and things. Now, I could show you this, I could turn on more fields. I could show you goals by value. I could show you, projects by value. I could show you, all sorts of things. But at the highest level, I just want to know this, right? So what I need people to start thinking about is when you think about all the things you're connected to and all the things you're trying to manage, if you haven't actually said, well, what are they serving? If they're just serving your bank account and an occasional vacation, you're not autonomous, right? You should be able to say, my bills, my money out every month goes out to health, home, family, financial, and service. You should be that simple. Like, you don't need mortgage and like expense. You can have all that, but at the top level, it's not important. My time, my tasks are going to health, home, financial, service, right? People contacting me. This podcast, right? For me is service, right?
Yeah.
It's like something I'm doing because I want to support you, Web Profits, and Justin, the gentleman contacted me. So I think it's a new way of kind of looking at our lives, but I think it's one we all desperately need to start to explore.
Agreed. I'm just a lot of the things which are online. Yeah. So say, for example, calendar, the emails, all that type of stuff seems to be kind of easy to connect into Airtables, right? Yeah. What about steps? What about food? What about like your calories? What about, like the health side of things that are on your phone, maybe on your watch? It could be in the Oura Ring or however you say that company's name, right?
I struggle too.
Yeah, but they're all in these different places, right? How do you get them into the Airtables? Because this is going to be a thing which, it's definitely a question I have, So how do you get them in? Like, is that like a manual process?
So you're back where we started when we talked about biological, behavioral, and environmental. Being the core big buckets, you're there, right?
Yeah.
You and I need to make a whole class on this, Alex. I can feel it, right?
Yep.
So your biological stuff. Let's give me 30 seconds, and we'll come to biological in a second. Let's go to behavioral a second and do an easy one. Spending money.
Okay.
Spending money. We talked about bills earlier. Airtable, through a couple different services. One that I use, another one called I think it's Financial Airtable or FinTable, I think it's what they call it.
Yeah.
I actually use something completely different. Imports all of your transactions. So you basically just like you would with Quicklin or QuickBooks, you basically linked all your credit. So all your bills are coming in, all your money you're spending is in. So there are ways to, again, get it in instantly. But Airtable does not connect to your Fitbit. It will not talk to your Apple Watch, right? There's a reason Tim Cook and a lot of these companies are guarding kind of the hyper biological stuff, because that's the gold. Right? That's the goal. That report I just showed you, that's what everyone wants, right? Because you want to be able to walk in your doctor and say, this is what's wrong with me, right? It's different than going to your CPA or your tax accountant and saying, this is how I spent my money. You're saying, I'm about to die. Fix me. Luckily, today, there are applications that will export HealthKit and Google Fit. Right. I've used two of them. I can share the titles with you, but the HealthKit one will actually create a CSV of your biological data and create a link to it. So you literally could API call your biological data if you wanted.
Yeah.
So let me tell you why I wouldn't. You create a lot of biological data every day.
Right.
It's almost unmanageable. Like steps is easy. So what I always encourage people to do is just run a report once a month and get your steps weekly. And just use that. You don't need your daily steps. I mean, I have my moment by moment steps. I have my moment by moment calories, all the things I've got all of it, right? But it all lives in Android or Apple. And its nice thing is it's in a nice place for you. If you were to pull it in like they create it, it would be too much. So I always tell people, you can get these things sent to you once a month as a CSV, and they just import like that to Airtable. You don't have. CSV being comma separated value. I never know how geeky spreadsheet. Yeah, I never know how
CSV
geeky I'm sounding.
Is fine. Yeah. Cool. I think SQL kind of queries, maybe that's a bit advanced, but CSV is fine. Okay, so
same stuff with anything you can't get that way, you can do through Zapier. Zapier will talk to a lot of these systems. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if it's popular, but a lot of people use and I use IFTTT.
If this then that.
IFT. Yeah, if this and that, and they do a lot of home systems. So the sensors around my house, right? We haven't even gotten to home stuff, right? The rain sensors, the light sensors, the Sonos. I got to make sure that doesn't come on here in a minute. All of these things also is data you can pull in and start to monitor them, right? Your electric bill, like how many kilowatts per month you use, how much water do you use, how much data does the internet company saying use? Was that data tied to a month where you watched a lot of movies? Did those lot of movies actually come from a service that you don't think you're getting much value from, and how much family time was tied to that? Now, I'm going a little fast and deep because I know
no. This is perfect. This is perfect. This is great.
But I do want people to start to go again. For me, it's always been really important to be able to say and look my family in the eye, look my friends in the eye, and when I'm with them and go, I am really with you because I don't need to worry about anything else. Now, you can do that without all this technology, but the challenge is we live in 2021 and it might not work out real well.
Yeah. Tech around us, and that's why I started with tech, because and I love how you like differentiated it with autonomy, right? Because you want to control the information's powerful, but at the moment most people have no idea what information's out there about them that other companies know a lot more than them. And so this conversation, this approach, this kind of thinking is to to take that control back and start to really see who you are through the things which you're doing, because I think a lot of people, they work on autopilot. They're not autonomous, they're on autopilot. And it's a very, very different thing,
Alex, you are slaying this, right? And I think that's just so important for people to really understand. I mean, I'm not advocating people become cyborgs. They already are cyborgs. I'm advocating for them to become mindful cyborgs, right? And what people don't understand about what's happening is, I've got this great graphic I created, is if we just take my lifespan and how much technology has changed in just this past 50 years, we've gone from a lot of space between mainframes with card punches and physical media we had to deal with, to like the 80s and 90s when it was just kind of you and maybe a keyboard and a PC, to like the 2010s where it's you touching everything and that knows what you're doing and how you're feeling, to the 2020s where you literally have this stuff on your body and in your ears. This is the last decade. We are living in that, because by 2030, most people are wearing and having this stuff just soaking in it, their homes, their cities, and everything. So, I don't want to scare people, but like, get as interested in you as Mark Zuckerberg is. Get as interested in you as Tim Cook. Get as interested in you as your government, because no one is coming to save you.